Talking to your significant other, your partner, your spouse, whatever you call them, about money is one of the most important things that we can ever do. And yet, so many of us don't do it and don't feel like we have the tools to do it. So, as we approach Valentine's Day, I thought it would be wonderful to just do a short video on how to talk to your spouse about money and go through why we have problems with it and how to talk to them. And I tell you something, as somebody who's been married for 16 years, it is a wonderful place to be with your spouse to be able to talk about money openly. So, if that sounds interesting to you, stick around because that's what our topic is. Very quickly, if you are new here, welcome. I'm Lisa. I've been a financial advisor for 15 years, and I help people get to financial freedom as quickly as possible and avoid pitfalls like what we are going to talk about today, which is not having open conversations about money. It is a pitfall, I will tell you that. And if you are a returning viewer, welcome. We're so happy to have you back. Now, as I talk about this conversation that I want more couples to be having openly with big hearts, with lots of security and lovingness together, because that's what it does when you have these kind of conversations about money and finances. It really is talking about goals and wonderful things, but we got to get through the minutia before we get there. I am not just talking to you as an observer of this. I am married. I've been married for 16 years. And I, when we first started, when we first were married for about a year into our marriage and 2 years while we were dating, I was not in finance. I was a school teacher. I taught elementary school and it was fun. I enjoyed that time in my life. But I was not good at talking about money. Even though I look back and say, I actually knew a lot about money, I handled money very well back then, I felt stupid, quote unquote. And so, because I felt that way, talking about money with my husband, who's very open and honest about money, he always has been, um, essentially, I felt really dumb. And so I would close off and just cut conversations off. And that was super unfair to do to him. And, I could feel as I got into this industry and we're talking more and more, and we've had these easy, open conversations about money, it has brought us closer together. I really believe that. And I have observed over this time working with many couples out there, and fortunately, some of them have split up over the years, that money does have a big part to play in a lot of couples splitting up. And I've worked with divorced women and widowed women, and the conversation about money and finance just wasn't talked about enough oftentimes when I talk to them. So why is that? Why don't we talk about money? Because we view money as something very sterile, right? Cold hard cash, that kind of thing. But it's really not. It's very emotional. I just made a list of some of the emotions that are attached to money that people don't think about. And these are negative emotions. There are also good emotions that are attached to money too. But the negative emotions that can kind of come up in these conversations are things like shame, fear, drama, trauma, power dynamic issues, identity, security, safety, trust, loss of trust, overreaction. Those kind of things can really be triggered in these conversations. And so, if you've ever had some of these conversations with your spouse, with your significant other, then, this might have happened to you and you don't like that feeling, so you just don't do it. And the thing is that the more we don't talk about things, the bigger problems that can come from that. It can be small things like your significant other, your partner feels like they're carrying the burden because you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to do it. That's not a good feeling. That's not nice to do to them, frankly. And honestly, that can really create some resentment from them. All the way to your partner could be stealing from you. I've heard all of the things in between too. And so this is a really good tool to have in your back pocket to really open up your conversations, open up your relationship and really build intimacy through these conversations. Because once you get through the minutia of are we overspending? Are we doing this? Then you get to the fun stuff like, we want to do this. We're going to do this. We want this experience. You build bucket list experiences together. You build dreams and aspirations and all those wonderful things that really can build you guys together. So I'm so excited that you are going to be doing this. I know you're going to do it. So essentially, how do you get into a conversation like this? Now, I will say that if you are at the point that you aren't trusting your spouse, your partner, you feel like they're cheating you, they're stealing from you, they have accounts open that they're not supposed to, they're not telling you the truth about X, Y, and Z about your money, you might want to go and get some professional help with this. I am a financial advisor. I'm not a marriage therapist, even though I feel like I play one on TV sometimes. And so you might want to go get some professional help. I will put that out there. If you haven't gotten to that point and you just feel like this is an area that you want to work on, stick around. That's what we're going to talk about. So first and foremost, do you want to actually have a goal for your conversation, for your starting conversation? So make it something smaller. Don't be like, and then the bills are going crazy and we have debt. Like, don't do that. Okay. Talk about emotional. It's going to get really heated very quickly. I would say start with something small. It could be as small as, hey, I kind of want to get more involved in our finances. Can you help me get logged on to our investment accounts, to see the credit card, to see our bank accounts? That could be that small. It could also be expressing a concern that you have for your future together. Like, I feel like we might be spending a little too much on vacations, and I kind of wanted to just talk to you about it, see where we're at. Do you agree with that? Do we need to make changes? I want us to be really successful together. And I love those vacations, but how can we make sure that we're not hurting ourselves together for the future? Now, that's kind of a bigger conversation, but it's still not like, trying to take on everything at once, right? So, what is your goal for the conversation? Have a very clear idea of the goal and stick to that. Don't just start going into different directions. It's going to be really hard. Have an emotional temperature check. So, just the same way that I always say, as soon as my husband comes in the door, I don't just unload everything that horrible that happened to him that day. I try to smile and ask how he is and let him relax a little bit before I start introducing maybe things that are just kind of unpleasant. You might want to do the same thing. You might want to do a temperature check like, hey, I just had something I kind of wanted to talk to you about. Is this an okay time to do that? It does have to do with spending or, something about money. I want us to be a team, using very assuring language. This is not a got you pointing fingers thing. Okay. So really try to choose a calm, neutral time, nice tone, no accusatory stuff, just emotional temperature check. And if your partner says, look, I'm just not in the mood for it right now, say, okay, when would you like me to bring this up again? I totally get it. When's a better time to bring this up? And if they don't tell you a time, that's when you're going to have to decide on another time for yourself, because you can't just let this not get talked about. Okay. This is your goal, is to get finances on the table. So therefore, don't just let this go. And they might have their own issues about finances too, talking about finances too. So you just got to keep that in mind too when they won't give you another time. But if they say maybe tomorrow evening, okay, great. And again, come at it with a very neutral, calming tone. And remember to gather some facts, not to be accusatory, like you did this and you spent money on this. No, you're trying to gather some facts to show how much you care about the subject that you're talking about and to make the conversation easier, to actually get a conclusion to something rather than, well, we'll have to check that. And then it doesn't get checked. And then, you feel like that whole conversation was kind of a wasted time. And remember, you want to ground the conversation in a trusting, open dialogue rather than a fight. We're not here to win a fight. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Like I said, using terms like can we, using we together, talking about being more aligned on the same page, that kind of stuff can really help with this. And, if it starts to get heated, don't be afraid to walk away and say, look at, maybe this wasn't the right time, or I don't want to argue over this. I want to come together over money, and maybe we should just put a pin in it. And then, like I said, if you need to take that to the next level of getting some professional help in terms of, therapy or anything like that, that is what it is. But anyhow, I hope that you take this challenge on, that you're excited about it. If you're happy and excited to have this as part of your tools to become closer to your partner, then I think it will go pretty well. Fingers crossed it will. So I hope that helps, and happy Valentine's Day, and enjoy love with your partner and love in life. That's what it's all about, is spending time with loved ones and having the choices and the money to do that. So until next time, be safe out there, stay strong, be kind to one another, and we will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.